odważyło się, żeby wydać taką ustawę pozwalającą na swobodę gospodarczą. Było to bardzo zastanawiające, ale bardzo ciekawy krok. Powstało wtedy wiele tysięcy nowych firm. Jak wiadomo, za socjalistycznej Polski firmy były głównie państwowe. Po tej ustawie powstało wiele tysięcy firm prywatnych. Na marginesie mogę dodać, że ja również zarejestrowałem swoją firmę i wiele moich znajomych. Chciałbym przekazać głos panu Januszowi Korwin-Mikke.
Well, it is really a phenomenon, but it shows that the free market was better developing in South Korea, Taiwan, and other undemocratic countries, because there is no problem with majority who wants to have money to take to rob the rich, to rob those who entrepreneurs. So here is the problem. All the countries, democratic countries, for example, United States, who began as a free market country, now are a country almost communist. I must remember you that late Mr. Milton Friedman, in 1970, went to the Library of Congress and read through the program of American Communist Party from 1920 and discovered that all the points of this program are already in work in the United States, all. So the countries democratic are going to the socialism. Charles Marx has said that if you want to build the socialism, it's enough to build a democracy and the stupid majority will build the socialism. He didn't say anything about stupid majority. That's my conclusion. And so it is. This bill was working for 1.5 years. Then the left built a solidarity movement, overthrow this system, and now we are going to the Euro-socialism, alongside, I think, with Czechs, Moravians, and Slovakians.
Yes, definitely.
Mr. Jahoda, if you like to say something.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. I would like to say a few words for the Free Citizens Party from the Czech Republic. Firstly, I'd like to say that our party has always supported the idea of the free market, individual freedom and civil liberties. So I'm very happy that these issues are debated at this place, in this parliament, where you hear only about more regulations, more restrictions, higher taxes, and no solutions to anything. And I think that today we face one danger. In the past, we had traditional right-wing, traditional left-wing, and we knew that the right-wing wanted lower taxes and more civil liberties, and the left-wing the opposite. But today, we've got some strange mixture, and the people are confused. We've got the Greens and the Socialists, who call themselves the liberal democratic, and we've got the right wing, so-called right wing, which demands higher taxes and more regulations. So I think there is a big confusion in the current politics, and the people, a lot of them, don't know whom should they vote. Because they relied on their parties, the people from the right wing, they relied on their politicians that they would support low taxes and more freedoms, but it didn't happen. And we can see it in whole Europe, we can see it in America, we can see it everywhere in the world. I'm in contact with the libertarian parties from whole Europe, and they just confirm this trend. So today, I think we are in a very difficult position, because if we say we want to defend traditional values, we are xenophobes, homophobes, or anything like that. If we say we are liberals, the real liberals, we seem like the socialists, because they stole this word. If we say we are libertarians, then they say we are extremists, because we want less state. So I think this is the biggest challenge for us, for the future, to tell the people the truth. We have to manage to explain what the truth really is today. That it's not about right and left today. It's about the civil liberties and freedoms and the big state. And there is nothing more. And I'm afraid today we are in a minority. But I believe we can change it, because we can see, at least in Europe, we can see a movement of change, and we can see more Eurosceptics, despite a lot of them are not the defenders of liberal values, but at least it is some anti-establishment movement. And I think we have to continue in our, let's call it, fight, because it is a fight, and if we don't succeed in short future, it could end in a bad conflict. Thank
Thank you very much. Somebody else? Any questions? Any remarks? Any remarks? Mr. Helmer, you are invited.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for those presentations. I find what you had to say extremely interesting, but also extremely comfortable in terms of the views that my party, UKIP, takes on these issues, and indeed our group takes. Certainly we are in favour of free markets and individual freedom and entrepreneurship, and we would absolutely agree that the more complicated and difficult and regulated you make it to establish a business. I mean, I've worked in countries where you've got to go to 16 different authorities and pay 16 different bribes before you can establish a business, and for that reason very few people establish businesses. But I think that we can take heart, as indeed the last speaker did suggest towards the end of his remarks. Look at the Greek situation. Now, I'm horrified by the idea of a Marxist party forming a government, but you could not ask for clearer evidence that the voters understand clearly that the old parties are not delivering, and that their solutions are all, in a way, very much the same. The old parties are gathering together, they're struggling to get together on the centre ground. I'm also impressed by your analysis, which says that you start with a democracy and you end up with a regulatory dictatorship. And I think of it particularly in the context of the European Parliament. I've always said that if you create a sausage factory, your objective becomes to make as many sausages as possible, because your sausage factory needs to be kept busy and your workers need to be kept busy, and you make more money if you're busy 95% of the time than if you're busy 40% of the time. And what we have here in the European institutions is a sausage factory for legislation. And if you're an MEP, you make your career and you make your reputation by being a rapporteur, being responsible for dossiers. And if you're an apparatchik, a bureaucrat in the Commission, you make your career by successfully steering dossiers through the system and sticking your name on them. So all the prizes go to the people who create more law. And there are no prizes for people who repeal old laws or challenge the idea of creating new ones. So the idea that we should press for a freer society and a deregulated society seems to me to be an excellent thing. I'm not close enough to the law to understand the detail of this, but I understand the broad direction, and it is very appealing indeed. So thank you for what you're doing.
It was working. It was working 1.5 years. Really worked. As Mr. Iwaszkiewicz has told, that several thousand people next day went to the streets to buy, sell. About 2 million of new firms has been established. It's really impressive. Really impressive. So it has been done under the communist rule formally. And you must understand one thing, that what was done, so round table talks, it was the left overtook the plan. Because we're from the different communist stage, Mr. Gomułka was better than Mr. Bierut, Mr. Gierek better than Mr. Gomułka, Mr. Rakowski better than Mr. No? And now we are every new government is worse than the previous one. Here is the problem, because here is democracy. It is exactly what you said. The worst bill wins. Well, any other remarks and questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Helmer. Thank you, Mr. Jawoda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Iwaszkiewicz.
Dziękuję.
Dziękuję. Dziękuję.